So basically, members, are we there?
Yes, we are there.
We are here.
Fine. Can I have a volunteer to begin with a word of prayer?
Okay, let's pray. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, come before you this evening, Jehovah. Please have this meeting, Jehovah God. May you guide us in whatever we shall be discussed here, Jehovah. Guide us with your wisdom, Father, and it shall help our institution. Pray this evening and practice in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Members, we have an opportunity to critique the document that we are about to share. And the reason why we have a stakeholders participation forum is because of constitutional requirement that requires every organization within the country to ensure that they involve the necessary stakeholders in formulating their policy, so that I'm recording, so this is important, so that I record so that in whatever we are doing, people can appreciate and therefore be part of what should be part of the laws that would definitely affect them. So the reason why therefore we have this demission policy is because of that constitutional requirement. Then secondly, being an academic institution, there are many things that we require, or we are required to do, that includes having policies that can make our operations and interrelationships between departments smooth and quite clear. So that's the reason why we have this academic policy. And then thirdly, it is a requirement by the governing council for us to develop policies that they believe are necessary for the effective management of this institution. So for that reason, I was tasked by the Deputy Principal Administration, Mr. Timothy Olitiri, to come up with an admission policy, which I believe we have done. Probably it may be 20%, it may be 30%, it may be 70%, maybe 90%, depending on our perception. And therefore, the reason as to why we have decided to make this public participation is so that we can have ideas and views from members who can criticize and critique this work. We are quite open to any negative or positive criticism on this work, because we believe that through your critical review, this document will be to the best interest of the institution. Then allow me also to say that the office of the registrar of any academic institution, for some institutions they have academic registrar, the role of that office is in charge of ensuring that students get admitted into the institutions. Beyond the work of being an operations officer, that the role of the registrar is to ensure that students get admitted into an institution. And so for us, basically, we are asking ourselves, do we have procedures or policies or statements or policy statements that can make our work much more efficient, that can make our work much more coordinated, and can make sure that we have a well appreciated work that is portraying a lot of teamwork amongst the relevant departments. So that's the reason why we have this policy, and I hope that even as you're looking through it, you would assist us to give it more justice so that we get it right. So basically that is our policy. It is called Sigalagala National Polytechnic Admission Policy. This number is supposed to be number 24. So because I'm using the PDF format, this would be, it's the admission policy number 024 of 2022. I think that is how it's supposed to be. That is my first page. Then on the last page, it is the first edition, as you are seeing, June 2022. This will appear on the back page. I've said this is the front page of that document, and this page you are seeing here will constitute the last page of that document. And so in that last page of the document, we have the vision, mission, motto, our core values, and lastly our quality statement. I hope it is readable. Am I alone?
No. Follow.
Tuendelee?
Yes. Let's move on.
Dorcas? Engineer Dorcas?
Yes,
You are definitely the secretary. In case there are any comments that we will receive, much as we are recording this, you will have to jot down so that we move. Now, basically, whenever we are making policies at Sigalagala National Polytechnic, usually what we do, we have to give the title of the policy and the numbers you are seeing. Then it has to be approved by the council chair.
yes, sir.
Oh, tulimaliza na nikaendelea. Hello.
We can hear him.
Niendelee.
Yes.
Right, so we, and the chief executive officer forced us to approve with the date. The contact authorities are our deputy principals. You are aware that Mr. Olituri at the moment is in charge of all the policies in the institution. This document is under the deputy of the office of the deputy principal academics. The officer of the registrar is the responsible person, but this document affects all these departments, including the dean's office, the quality assurance, industrial license office, the exams office, departments, head sections, trainers, and the administrative staff. We have also said that the next review is as deemed necessary. And basically, this is the outlay of the document. In our table of content, we have forwarded by the council chair which statements are not complete by the principal, acknowledgements by, then we have got abbreviations and acronyms, definition of terms. Chapter 1, we are looking at the preamble, looking at the policy statement, historical background of the institution. We will look at the scope of the policy, the justification of the policy, the general objectives, specific objectives, the mandate, the principles of admission. We have to write something small on what is obvious, the vision, mission, motto, and core values. We are looking at chapter 2, which is basically the administrative framework of the admission process. Let me just admit somebody into the meeting. Joshua, karibu. Basically, chapter 2 is talking about the administrative framework, or the administrative function. So you're looking at the role of the principal, the registrar's office, the admissions office, the dean's office, and probably there is something that is missing. We expect that there will be some contributions on this. Let me admit Okech. Okech, you are most welcome. Then you have got the chapter 3. There is basically now the gist of the policy. Under this, we will talk something on advertisement and access of information, application, admission intakes, the guidelines, the course requirements, course admission, course process. If you see there are repetitions, of course you may need to tell us about transfers, admission schedules, registration, reporting, withdrawal of admission letter, implementation, and then the review process. So let me admit these people in. So basically, the vote by the principal, by the chair, council chair, we have not completed out this because she needs to be informed, and I believe the council committee on operations is meeting on either tomorrow or after tomorrow, and for that reason, basically, we may need to get some clear wording by the council chair. I also need to discuss something small on the principal because he's not been away some part of last week, so this part needs to be done by the principal. That's why I can't read. Then allow me to appreciate that we have had Madam Dorcas Keseli, Jacqueline Kidia, Ezra Mugeni, Moses Odor, and some members in the registry staff who have significantly contributed to the current state of this document, and some in acknowledgements. Of course, I know that we need to look at the external contributors to the success of this document, which we will do if there will be any contributions that member will say. Like, for example, now we will appreciate the members who have participated in this stakeholders meeting. We may not state all of them, but we will include the departments. For that reason, members, because I'm recording this, under the chat section, I would ask that you record your name. Under the chat section, please just record your name so that I'm able to record your presence in this document, because I may not be able to unless there is a better way of indicating the availability of members in this document. So here is where we start. Of course, we start with the abbreviations and acronyms. Some of the terms we will use in this document will include CBET, CDAC, DPATA, GSSP, HELB, HOD, KCSE, NEC, KNQA, KNQF, COOPS, Management Information System, TSNP, TVET, and NITA. I think we still have a debate about TSNP. It's supposed to be SNP, and though some legal minds think that it's supposed to be TSNP. So we move forward. Our definition of terms, members, this is where we begin. We are saying that we must define what is an examination. So we are saying that whether it is an artisan or a diploma or a higher diploma examination, is just an assessment or evaluation that measure and determine whether or not candidates shall proceed to the following term of study or qualified for award of an artisan, certificate, diploma, or higher diploma certificate. I don't know whether I should, the members, whether that should be artisan certificate or craft. Is it the award of artisan certificate, diploma, or artisan, craft, diploma, and higher diploma? Kazi imeanza. I have got less than 1 hour to do this. Mr. Moga, karibu.
Asante.
I'm asking members, do we say certificate or craft?
I think we can say the craft certificate.
Because even higher diploma is a certificate.
Yes, so it's craft.
I hope members we understand that. So Dorcas, just take note of that. That word craft certificate is supposed to be craft, because craft is a level, just like artisan and diploma is. So we have said that period basically is supposed to be 13 terms, and may be determined sometimes by the academic board. We know, of course, usually like when we had the corona things, now so terms are less than the 13 months. A module is a units that can form part of a course of study, and then an academic year consists of terms as prescribed in the academic policy. Members, let me also inform us that an admission policy is heavily borrowed from an academic policy. So most of these things we have actually borrowed very heavily from the academic policy, where we are saying that the polytechnic in this reference will be the Sigalagala National Polytechnic. The admission period, of course, we know that is that. Maybe this is not so much important. We go to the gist of the issue. We have admission offer letter, we have application or rejection letter, waiting list, we have the registration fee, we have the reference number, course and academic program. Those are some of the terms, and as we are going, probably we may need to get more other terms that you think we have not considered. So far, if there is any question, please. We've looked at definition of terms.
Audio imepotea.
Hello?
Yes, I'm getting you, but now
Yes.
where are we supposed to register?
Unaona kwa chat kwa hiyo nini mali pa kuandikanga SMS, kuandika chats. How do I describe it? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Hiyo chat with everyone.
Are you able to move there the cursor of your?
I'm seeing, si ndio nimeweka hapa. Nimeona hii cursor hii.
Yes.
You're seeing where this cursor is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you can indicate your name. I will get it from there.
Okay.
And your department.
I have seen it.
Yeah. And your department. Thank you members for joining, Moody and the company. So far, if there is any question, for those of you who have joined, I've just said that this is an academic policy, and we are saying that as an academic policy, admission policy rather, we have been tasked as the office of the in charge of admissions to come up with an admission policy that would give us some guidelines on the processes that we need to pursue in order to have a flawless admission process. So I've said that would be policy number 24. I'm told there are about 30 or so. This is our first edition. I've also said that that would be this is the first page of the policy. This is the second page. Of course, we'll get the printer to come up with the best color and all those things. I'm very poor in color. I've just said that this is basically what the policy looks like. You have to state the policy, the council chair has to sign, the CEO of the institution, Mr. Busir, has to sign, and the relevant departments that the policy will affect. I've also said that we have the table of content that includes basically the forward by the council chair, the preface by the principal, acknowledgements, abbreviations, acronyms, and then we have definition of terms. Then on chapter number 1, we are saying that basically you want to look at what the policy is all about. What are the justification for the policy? What are the objectives? What is the mandate? And what are the principles behind any admission process? And then lastly, the obvious vision, mission, motto, and core values. And then lastly, what is the quality statement of the policy? And I think that is where we were, so that we save on time. We have discussed on that. We've looked at the abbreviations and acronyms, and then we've looked at the definition of terms. And I've just said that in case anybody feels that there is anything that we may have left out as an admission policy, then we will be required to include that in the document. Now, what is the chapter 1 saying? We are just saying that we are dedicated to the provision of quality education that empowers learners and create an environment that is safe. There is a problem of S here. Yes?
Hello, Chair.
Yes.
Sorry, my network went off when you are on the definition of terms.
Yes.
Kindly allow me to take you back kidogo on number 3.
Number 3
of terms.
Yes.
Yes. I was thinking if it would read that module are units that forms part of a course of study.
Okay. Wow. Now the lawyer has come. Let me get the original Word document of this, so that as we are correcting, we do not repeat. Members, I have decided to get back to the Word document, which is usually different a bit from the PDF. So that as we are correcting, we don't repeat. Number 3, you are saying? Madam Rudia?
Okay, I was saying module are units that forms part of a course of study.
Okay.
We remove the word "can" and then we put forms.
Ivo?
Let me see. Yes, a unit are units that form part of a course of study.
Like that?
Yes, yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Then number 5.
Yes.
A unit of study. It is a 1.5 hour per week, or blah blah blah. I was looking at it differently. Is it the lesson? Unit of study.
Madam,
I'm looking at it as if it means the subjects.
Actually, for these purposes, a unit and a subject, I think. Madam Kidia, what did we say? Our English professor, what did we agree? Our unit of study and lesson?
We looked at it in terms of those hours when all of them put together at the end of a term. It means that the student has covered a unit, or rather a whole module, which now encompasses or consists of the units.
What Madam is asking, like in the university, when they give you a transcript, usually they say for the 3 units or something. In Itonga, for what? Those,
correct, yeah.
So do we say it is a lesson so that inaeleweka rahisi?
Yeah, a lesson itaeleweka rahisi, which comprises of the 1.5 per week and all that now per term.
Huh?
Madam Anne, what do you think? We change it to a lesson.
I don't know. Maybe let other members. Let other members maybe say what they think about it.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, engineer sema mambo.
Mzuri.
Yes.
For me, I'm taking it to be contact hours.
Yes.
Either per week or per term.
Yes.
Yeah, contact hours.
So we change that to be contact hours.
Yeah, either defined in a week or a whole term.
All right. Next.
I also think that some units take a whole module. So when you say per week or per term, does it mean that it ends in a term or a unit ends with a model? I mean with a it's still a bit confusing.
So we just remove this word term.
You either
If I say it's a 1.5 hour per week. I think this is supposed to be a lesson.
Covering up.
Hello.
Yes.
I think Madam Rhoda has typed something in the chat, and I think she's right. A unit is a subject of study in a course.
Yes.
A unit what?
That makes sense.
A unit?
Yes, a unit is a subject of study in a course.
Sasa sisi tunatafuta kitu inaitwa lesson.
Just as a lesson. If you are looking for something as a lesson, just put it as a lesson, not a unit. A unit cannot be a lesson.
Subject of what?
Now, why don't we do away with the word a unit and use it the way Mr. Makomere put it, contact hours?
That's what I'm saying. Wacha tu tumalizane na hiyo. Unasema a unit is a subject of what?
Of study in a course. Subject of study in a course.
Haya. Tuendelee mbele. Alafu the next ni lesson. Ulisema contact hours.
Contact hours.
What is it?
Not the 1.5 per week.
1.5 per week we meant it was a lesson. So it's supposed to be a lesson.
Tumesema tuweke contact hours instead of lesson.
The contact hours can be looked at in terms of a week, a month, or a term. So what are we looking at? At Sigalagala, a lesson takes how long?
1.5 hours.
So what do you define? That's called a lesson.
Yes.
Yes, that's a lesson.
Hello?
Yes.
In an institution, a lesson takes 1.5 hours for the theory classes. So I would think that if we want to, because when we take one lesson 1.5 hours, to cover a whole unit in a week, it is 3 hours and not 1.5. So maybe we can say 3, now that we are talking of contact hours, we can say 3 contact hours for theory, or 3 contact hours, not just 3 contact hours per week.
Okay, because this is a Zoom meeting and we have to move fast. I will look into that tomorrow. We have had your sentiments and observations. Next.
Sorry. I may like to ask about, he has talked about 3 hours. Hello? What about the 6 hours in article?
That's why we are saying that for the theory lessons, we have got how many hours for theory and how many hours for practical. So I think that has to be well defined. And I think we will borrow this from the academic policy that will be discussed, I believe, tomorrow. So from that definition, I think we'll just borrow it and put it in the admission policy. Members, do we move like that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Well, just a quick one. Number 12, you talked about admission and registration fee.
Yes.
So I think it would be wise also to when we say registration, what does it mean? I'm saying that in relation to the admission period, so that now it does not bring confusion between admission and registration. So maybe you can also add the definition of the term registration, maybe later on.
That's right. That's true. Including the term admission. Madam, including the term admission.
Yes. No, just now define the term registration on its own, the way you've written.
And I'm also saying we can also add another term admission. It's not in our definition. Yeah.
Yeah, because add the term admission because so that it brings it very clearly. Because when you talk about admission period, if the word admission has not been defined, it may not really people may not understand. Yes.
Others will come later. So we were just saying that under the chapter 1, we are looking at the policy statement, and we are saying that basically this policy is supposed to look at the efforts that are going to be manifested through this admission policy and procedures as outlined in this document. We are saying that the policy has the purpose of setting a framework to, number 1, formulate the admission policy and procedures for all prospective S&P students, and internally they should be and continuing students. They don't have to be internal. And continuing students. Why continuing students? Because every time they have to report back, so we need to assume that there must be a procedure for such kind of admission. And then 2, we are saying that we should monitor the quality of student admissions and recruitment, ensuring that the integrity and alignment of process within the Polytechnic, to oversee the implementation of the effectiveness of these procedures and monitor compliance with internal policies and external legislation. We know that within the this policy we have the TVET policy and any other policies that may be necessary for this. We're also saying that there is a need to promote fairness, clarity, consistency, transparency in recruitment and admission practices. And lastly, to promote the dissemination of best practices in recruitment and admission into the Polytechnic. I don't know whether it is to say in the Polytechnic or into the Polytechnic. Kiingereza? Am I
alone? Say admission to the Polytechnic.
Okay. We move ahead. We're looking at the historical background. I may not have time so much to say this. This is in our academic policy, so it is something that we just hyped. We hyped all that from the academic policy because we believe the academic policy is the mother of the admission policy. Let me admit somebody into the meeting. Mr. Bati, karibu. We are discussing about the admissions policy. We are saying that this policy applies to all applicants and existing students applying to undertake studies at Sigalagala National Polytechnic, as well as the staff processing student admission process, admission, as well as the staff processing students' admission. So the scope is that it is the student who is doing it, but it's also affecting the persons who are supposed to be doing this work. Justification of the policy, the justification for this admission policy is given by the fact that there is a continued expansion of student enrollment. There is a need to redress gender imbalance in S&P student enrollment. And not just gender imbalance, we have other issues like disability. And of course, when we look at those things, we would want to look at the extent to which Sigalagala is a national polytechnic. That means that we have to incorporate the nationhood in our student population. It is imperative that S&P widens the participation of persons with disabilities, as I've said. There are some ongoing efforts to strengthen the institutional capacity of S&P to expand its capture base. So we're just saying that as we are doing the admission process, how do we ensure that Sigalagala being in Western, how do we ensure that it has got students beyond Western? And there is a growing number of students who wish to transfer their credits from other institutions to S&P. And I think this may be an emerging issue where students have been other institutions and would want to come to Module 2, Module 3 from other institutions. So how do we ensure that is done? Secondly, on the same, that we have students as a qualification awarding institution where we are headed to. What happens to a student who has come from Kitale National Polytechnic and has a certificate from Kitale National Polytechnic? So how do we make that kind of transfer? So that the purpose of this policy is to ensure that S&P has an appropriate admission and enrollment criteria, and that it admits students in an ethical and responsible manner, including but not limited to ensuring that each prospective student meets the required academic qualification. This policy has also ensures that if the application is accepted, S&P will enter into a formal written agreement with the student, which makes clear all obligations of S&P and the student, including services to be provided, fees payable, and information about refunds, complaints, and appeals. And I think if Mr. Mwangi is there, he can confirm those. Whenever we have complaints and our obligations in terms of performance indicators and how our clients ought to be satisfied with the kind of services we are offering. The general objective of these objectives is to ensure that these policies to ensure that students S&P admits students with different backgrounds. The principal aim of this policy is to ensure that the Polytechnic admits students by assessing both ability and suitability for academic programs for which they have applied, irrespective of their social, racial, religious, ethnic, national origins, gender, age, sexuality, parental status, marital status, disability status, political beliefs, and social or economic background. We believe that as we do this, let me just admit Jonathan. Jonathan, you are most welcome. We believe that the purposes of this is to ensure that we do not have any bias approach in all that we are doing, and therefore we have to ensure that all these areas are taken care of. The specific objectives of this policy, the following are the specific objectives of the Polytechnic admission policy. Aspiration to offer admissions to students of the highest intellectual potential, to ensure that admission requirements and procedures are designed to help the Polytechnic select from among applicants those qualified to benefit from the education opportunities at the Polytechnic. And I don't see the third one. If there is a third one, you can add, members. And by this time, I think I would ask if there is any response or reaction before I move to the mandate.
My reaction would only be number 2, to ensure that admission requirements and procedures are designed to help the Polytechnic select from among applicants, those qualified to benefit from the education opportunities at the Polytechnic. Are we not going to run away from 100% transition, or now that the government is going away, it will go?
I don't know what's your question.
My question is, the government will direct you to admit 100% transition, regardless of if they are best qualified or not. I don't know how you are going to do this to ensure that policy is implemented.
We now in the policy, maybe as we are going along, you will look at their basic requirements for every course. If you're doing a diploma, a craft course, or an artisan course, their basic requirements for that level. So it therefore means that based on that level and therefore your qualification, then you will be admitted to benefit from that education opportunity.
Okay.
So number 3 is suspended meanwhile. Then the Polytechnic mandate is, as we have said, offer courses at craft. And I think I should have started at Dorocas. We didn't change this word Sibet. We said that we will offer courses at artisan, craft, diploma, and higher diploma. And the Sibet courses that include level 3, 4, 5, and 6. The various disciplines. It offers training in short courses as they may arise or as may arise. As may arise. I don't think this may is necessary. The Polytechnic mainly produces middle-level human resources that are well equipped with the technical and business skills required in industry, informal sector, and service sectors. The institution produces technicians who are expected to play a major role towards the attainment of Kenya's Vision 2030 National Development Goal. Of course, there could be changes on this Vision 2030. I'm told now we have got Vision 2063. So that we can add. So far, reaction? Yes? Yeah.
I hope I can put the point of the level that we are offering our the training. We understand staff, diploma, and diploma. How do we define the short form?
Can somebody tell me? I've not been able to get him clearly.
Asonge karibu na microphone aonge.
He's asking how we can define a short course.
How we can define a short course?
Yeah, because we are saying that we are offering the CBET level 3 up to 6, and then he's asking the short courses that we are offering as they arise. So he's asking how can we define a short course?
So that's a good assignment.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
I think the reason as to why we didn't limit the definition of a short course is because we have a variety of short courses. Some go for 3 days, some go for 1 week, some go for 1 month. However, the courses that we have listed are the normal regular courses that we have that have a specific period from the Ministry of Education. But for the other courses, we just call them short courses depending on how the course.
Are you still there? Hello? Engineer Dorcas, are you still there?
Will arise. That's when the timeline of that course can be. Thank you.
We lost for about 20 seconds. Right. So, members, I think yes, we will. We have taken that into consideration. We will define what is
Okay,
a
my
short.
last statement was
Yes. Are you still talking? Ah, yeah. I can't hear Dorcas. Do we move ahead?
no. Yes.
Members, do we move ahead?
Yes, let's move.
I think we can move because there's a broken breakdown in communication.
Thank you. Thank you. So the principles of admission, the SNB will establish general
Yes.
and program-specific admission requirements that will optimize students' access to a program of study and promote student success. Number two, we are saying that admission requirements will be consistently applied by the Office of the Registrar in accordance with the established procedures, basically from the academic policy members. SNB through the Office of the Registrar reserves the right to make final decision related to the admission of an applicant. And then number four, that SNB is committed to integrating student diversity in all its admission process. In other words, when we do, for example, marketing programs, then we need to move to regions beyond Western and Kakamega in particular to ensure that we have a national outlook of our student population. Then the vision, mission, motto, and core values are as outlined in the academic policy and in our strategic plan, which I believe members have a copy. The quality statement is in our QMS manual. I also believe members have a copy of the same. And if Mr. Mwangi is there, he can also confirm that he has been giving copies of this to the departments. And usually they are just in that order, 1, 2, 3. Now, chapter number 2 is, as I said, is the administrative environment within which the policy is supposed to be operated in. And we're just saying that usually the CEO of the institution has something. This is also a bit incomplete, members. We believe that the office of the principal, and when we say the office of the principal, it means that the deputy principals in charge of academics and in charge of administration sometimes may fall within that framework. And so that's why we're saying that there could be something that I would ask members to think about and give us. Of course, the work of the office of the registrar's office is to ensure that there is a marketing process before admission, then they update the website for application purposes, then they receive this and approve applications, and then they send those applications to prospective candidates. Basically, that's the environment. That there is the admission office committee rather, that has the heads of department, the registrar, the deputy registrar, the dean of students, the finance office, the MIS, and the ICT. I think in our case, yes, we have the ICT and the MIS, although sometimes we were thinking that this collapsed. Madam Anne, what's your advice on this?
Hello?
We're asking,
MIS and ICT.
are they different departments or one department?
They're different.
Right, so we go ahead.
MIS and ICT?
Yes.
Yeah, they're different.
Do we have any other persons who have been left in this admission committee?
Careers.
Right.
Maybe if I can put in some contribution.
Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Heads of department.
About the online courses, I think you would have included the order.
Odell.
And LMS, yeah.
Under?
LMS. Maybe Madam Khan can advise on that one because we will be having the online courses. Yeah.
Okay, actually she's right.
Mm-hmm.
Although now, okay, when you talk about academic HODs, the Mr. Jekules is the new HOD Odell. So
he falls
he's
under
part
this.
of the academic HODs.
All right. Thank you. And that's a good one. I think we will see whether we omitted anything Odell related. Madam Dorcas, hope you not take note of that. Then we have just said that our policy on functions on how we admit is on our section of 3.4.1.
Hello, Chair.
Yes.
Hello, Chair.
Yes.
Hello, Chair. Maybe just to come back to what Madam Lois has said.
Yes.
Maybe to shout out at Odell, maybe you can just put it to appear separate.
Okay.
At least for it to be visible.
Odell office.
Yes.
Right, thank you. We have said that basically.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
Chair, maybe I may like to put something across.
Yes, yes.
In addition to what you have been talking, you have talked about career. What about guiding and counseling? You know, there's a problem with the student having some challenges. And it is leading to some of us, some of institution losing the student every now and then because maybe they're lacking that. And I think it's one of the things that we can include it there so that in case of such, they are open to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We move ahead.
Chair, maybe if I can just ask.
Yes.
Which office is in charge of gender among what you've just listed?
Madam Man. Madam Man, answer that one.
Now, gender stands on its own.
Although we actually said in one of our principles, ladies and gentlemen, that one of our principles is that we will not we looking at the general objectives. We have said it so clearly about discrimination, and so we have said we will admit students irrespective of their race, religion, ethnic. So why are you specific about gender and we have issues like race, religion, ethnic, age?
Sure, that one ties us.
It's okay, it's not well understood.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I have an input. Maybe if we could say, if we could include all the, we have the various departments.
Yeah.
We have, there are those departments that come in when we are admitting students, like, as we advance, you might find we will reach a point where we will need to guide students on even security matters and security checks and how they live outside the institution. So that basically means we have to include most of the departments that exist within the institution. Yeah.
Okay. I've only had one word from you, Chief Security Officer.
Maybe you could just say security office.
All right. Thank you.
As you admit, you should also think about people with disability, so that it matters boarding and also choosing courses with their disability conditions.
Yes, we have actually said, Madam Modi, that in our processes of admission, all that has been catered, and that it should be generally be within the thoughts and the minds and the culture of Sigalagala, not to discriminate people against their, their ability or disability, their age, their race, their religion, their everything. So it should be ingrained into our thoughts and systems and culture. So that members, we are saying that the role of the dean, office of the dean, is to ensure that they give information on availability of accommodation services to new students. Basically, we believe that's what they do. They also provide accommodation to students living with disability. We know that that is an affirmative action that the institution has taken. We also are aware that usually the office of the dean coordinates issues of medical checkups. They also organize for orientation for new students within 14 days of official opening, and basically they give out rules and regulations. And we have proposed that probably that the same should be put on our website so that students can be able to download and have an easy access to that. And I think we can now move on chapter 3 is now basically about now the entire process of admission. We have
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, go back, Dogo.
Meludi.
That last statement, I'm seeing some statement there in whatever form. What does that mean?
You want us to specify. We were thinking the form can be hard copy, and then we said the hard copy is too expensive, so we said maybe there are two forms, basically soft copy, in which case it is put on our website, or sometimes they get the printed forms at the dean's office. I don't know. The dean, are you there?
Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I recall we talked of if hard copies are going to be very expensive, then at least areas can be identified within the institution where some of the rules can be written, so that the students, each time they pass by those areas, they can be able to access these rules and regulations. But at the same time, they need to have a soft copy of them. And once we upload them on our website, then it also follows that they need to print by themselves a copy. Yes, correct. They need to print a copy of the of the rules.
Madam Deputy Principal, please.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just on what Madam Jacqueline is saying, I think we had decided that we actually come up, the Office of the Dean comes up with the student's handbook that will contain all those, so that on admission, each student is given a student's handbook and signs. We will also have the rules and regulations. I think that's what we had decided earlier on.
So we are saying that issue out a student handbook to all students. Thank you. We move ahead. This is a bit heavy. So we are saying that on this admission policy, we expect that we will provide special attention and exemptions in the admission of trainees to its programs wherever there are cases we think that there are exemptions. Of course, we are not at the university. We believe in future that's where we will be. In terms of the mandate and our admission processes may change. Under this, we are saying that the process begins with advertisement and the issue of access to information. We have said that advertisement of courses shall be done in the print media, polytechnic website, social media, and any other methods adopted by the marketing team. This shall be done within the minimum of 2 months before the start date of the program, and probably I don't know whether this should be term. We'll look into that. We're also saying that all information that is subject to change after publication, such as course content, selection criteria, polytechnic process, and financial management, will be made available and kept up to date on the website, and necessary communication provided to applicants and the public. Now, you are aware, members, that all our fee structure, medical form, our data capture, our capitation forms, all those forms are usually in the website, and we normally ask that the applicants go to the website and download those documents. We're also saying that all applications shall be made online except when the management provides otherwise. We are also aware that this has eased the work at the registry when we allow people to use the current technology that we have to ensure that applications and processes and the processing of the same is less laborious. On applications, we have said that all applicants shall complete an application form electronically and submit it to the registrar. The application forms can be downloaded from the website we have indicated there. This again was borrowed heavily from the academic policy. We have also said that the application form shall be accompanied by all supporting documents showing applicant's qualification. Application forms shall be processed only upon receipt of stipulated non-refundable application fee of Kenya shillings 500. International applicants shall submit or mail certified copies of their certificates and testimonials. And their respective government agencies together with KNQA equivalent. They shall also submit certified government identification documents or any other form of official identification and other relevant documents. After processing the applications, the registrar shall communicate the decision in writing to the applicants. Okay, usually at this level, we just usually send them the admission letter. Application and coordination of short courses shall be done by the registrar's office in liaison with the respective departments. Then we are saying that applications for short courses shall be continuous. I don't know whether that is true. Any reaction? Madam Masi Maura.
Excuse me, Chair.
Madam Masi Maura, karibu. Yes?
Number 2.
Yes.
When we say the application form shall be accompanied by all supporting documents showing the applicant's qualifications.
Yes.
Supporting documents, I don't know what members will say. Do we need to define supporting documents in our context?
Okay.
Or has it just to remain like that? I thought some people may not.
Yes, it needs to be defined.
Hello?
Okay.
I think it should remain general because the supporting documents might change with time or might vary from one course to another. Or maybe as the polytechnic grows, they might change. So I think it is safer to leave it general.
All right.
Mr. Chair, maybe on that point that you've talked about, that application will be done online.
Yes.
There's a problem where you find that there are some students who have come with a form which has been filled and it was done via online, and they are not qualifying. So they start complaining, even the parent will start complaining about that. Why is it that we are putting some information in our website and that information is not clear? So I think that clarity also should be done so that it can be easier for them as they are selecting their course. It should be hand in hand with their qualification so that they don't come in institution and find that what they were aiming aiming for is different thing. They are not qualifying. That is it. Thank you.
Dorcas?
Okay, I think there's a place where we have mentioned that the registrar will be updating information on the website as the application period is open. So basically, of course, we may have a few errors here and there, but we are hoping that we will be able to update our website so that the information that is on the website is what actually reflects what is happening on the ground on matters admission. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for interruption, but the reason as why I'm emphasizing on that, it is because that is also our marketing strategy. If at all will not be able to deal with that, when they come, they complain today, they can go on saying that even their website, they are putting things that are not existing.
All right. Yes, that's noted. That's noted. Madam Dorcas, just note that those are good views we are receiving. Do we go ahead?
Yes.
Now, we also said that once we have the application process done, then it is the issuance of admission letters. This shall start with the registrar receiving application letters online. The registry clerk in the registrar's office shall sort out the application letters and send the registrar for approval based on the qualifications uploaded on the website. Yes.
Okay, can I take you back just a little?
Right.
On the same application form,
number.
Okay, application forms. This one. Application forms shall be processed.
Number
with supporting documents. The one with supporting the number 2, Roman 2.
Roman 2, yes.
So yes. Now the application form. Now we are having online, and you also said somewhere up there about they'll also be bringing the hard copy. So which application form? The online application form, or I think it can be defined.
You see now, once you go to the online,
because there's a place for there's a place for online application, and also you are talking of now again there's one for documentation.
That's what we are saying. When you are doing an online application, what we require is a supporting document called number 1, a national ID, and I think those things are just here. Let me push you down. When you have that form, we would expect you to have a national ID. We'll expect you to upload the KCP and KCSE result slip. Would expect you probably, if you do not have an ID, to have a birth certificate. So those are some of the things that must be uploaded. And we also expect you to have paid the 500 shillings. One of the supporting documents is evidence for the payment of 500 shillings, verified by a code. We would expect that this student will have uploaded a recent passport on the system. So once this process is done and it is fully automated, we are actually not yet there. Although it is still online, we have not automated it fully. But once it is fully automated, we expect that once you just upload your passport size photograph, once you upload your student ID, once you have uploaded your result slip and all those things, the day we admit you as a student, we just transfer that information from now in application form to now a registration format, where that information that we received as application now becomes our our data in the system, in our ABNO system, once the student has been admitted. I don't know whether that is okay with you.
Yeah, that is clear. The
Yeah,
part
so-
which was not just clear was the application form for the hard copy and the for online, but that is
yeah,
clear.
yeah. So usually they have to. Otherwise, and actually that's why sometimes you discover that when we have had this admission process, usually we have a verification team that has to confirm whether the applicant's document that was received electronically is actually true. So that process of verification is usually there. And so we are saying that under issuance of admission letters, we said that the registrar shall send, usually it is the registry clerk that does
Excuse
this.
me, Chair.
Yes.
Maybe if I can
I've taken the
inquire
screen away.
about matters credit.
Hello.
Ah,
Hello.
yes.
Where have you captured that?
Somebody is presenting, Bana. We are not seeing what you are presenting.
Jonathan is presenting.
Jonathan Ohie is who?
Oh, amenishinda technology.
Jonathan has taken over your presentation.
Has become a virus.
Ohia. Jonathan Ohia, please just
Ameanza kupresent na akaondoka.
am I back?
Yes.
Yeah, this technology, you have to try it out. Hata ningekuwa na ujuzi ya kuingia kwa Central Bank nizitolee tu kama niko hapa.
So, Chair, I don't know if you've understood my question.
You asking something?
About credit transfers, because now you're saying people, when they apply, they ought to upload their certificates.
Yes.
So, and you said there are those who are international students. So I don't know if you can also capture that one, or you will come in the documents and also include that one. Or okay, my feeling is you've listed the supporting documents. So if you would have tried to enlist the supporting documents up there, and then try to say and any other document that might have been requested.
Okay.
Yes.
The application shall be accompanied by supporting
This matter of the supporting documents,
Yes.
you've taken us down there on some of the supporting documents.
Right.
So,
Yeah, oh,
okay, I was
right,
having
right,
something
right,
in
right.
mind
Yes.
about the credit transfers.
I get it. I get it.
Okay.
Any other document that may be required? Thank you. That's true. That's very true. So members, we are saying that we give out admission letters, and of course when we give out admission letters at Sigalagala, usually it is in the letter has what we call a reference number. That's a temporary number that usually is given for identification for all the applicants we receive. So it is upon admission process that now we change that reference number into an admission number. So basically that's what we've just said here. We usually send by email, and that's what we have just stated. So we are saying that the admission requirements, the student must have a filled medical form, fee structure, because they must be aware of how much they're supposed to pay. Course requirements, for some departments, usually they send those specific course requirements. Capitation form, personal data sheet form. Here we are just saying that the student has to identify where they come from, which area, village, county, then recent passports, original and copies of the national ID, KCSE and KCP, birth certificate. And as you have put it, if it is a student who is coming for third year or second year, then we can add number C, what? Relevant academic document?
You've already captured it at E.
At E. Okay.
You've already captured it down there.
All right, fine. So we go ahead.
Okay, just a question, a quick one. Huh?
Yes.
Now, any other documents? Now, what of the equations? Those, let's say, we have had, I know of 2 cases of which we have had from Uganda. Yes, so they are normally given equations. So how do we capture that?
Did we capture that? We did capture it somewhere.
I think you said they ought to liaise with KNQA, then bring to the college. I think under the office of the principal through the deputy academics, she's the one now to approve these credit transfers.
Are you seeing what we have written there?
Yes. Now, I'm okay with this. What I'm saying now in terms of the attachments, the listing. Now, do we also capture that or any other supporting document or equation, something like that?
That's why we have said international applicants shall submit or email certified copies of their certificates and testimonials from their respective government agencies together with KNQA equivalent. They shall also submit certified government documents or any other form of official identification and other relevant documents. Done.
Yes.
Is that satisfactory or it is missing?
No, I'm not conflicting this one. I was just asking on E.
E, oh,
as
right.
When you have listed on this listing. Now, like for that person will be submitting an equation.
Yes.
So
it collapses in E.
Should an equation also be listed in E?
That equation is normally a document that is explaining how their results relate to our Kenyan results. So I think it falls under any other document that may be required.
Okay.
We are trying to avoid naming specific documents because currently the world is moving so fast. We might get one from Uganda, then tomorrow we shall get one from South Africa. So we are avoiding naming specific names. But any other document helps us to cover all cases as they come.
We go ahead. The Polytechnic shall have 3 intakes in every academic year, assuming that things are normal. It happens in January, May, and September unless otherwise stated, as may be directed by the Ministry. SNP admits applicants within the Polytechnic admissions framework and complies with its policy of equal consideration to all applications received.
Excuse me.
Yes.
On that one,
yes.
Just before Corona set in,
yes.
The NEC had now introduced the issue of March series and July series, and they were doing away with the November series. Now, from the communication that they sent us last year, they said that now they are returning to normalcy in 2023, where now the March series exam is going to be back, then the July, but we'll also have November just as a way of transition. But from 2024, we'll not have the November. So in that aspect, then it means that we are going to have the May intake and the September intakes. So I don't know how we can put it there, because now going forward, we'll only have the May and September.
Do you make an assumption that NEC will be the only examining body?
No, that's not a good assumption. I think then putting that in mind, maybe let's just leave it that way, that we'll have the 3 intakes.
Fraudulent and plagiarized applications, hiyo ni kazi ya Rob huko. Kuna wenye ulijaribu kushika lakini haukushika vizuri. The Polytechnic will not admit students on the basis of fraudulent or plagiarized applications. Where an applicant is identified as being potentially fraudulent or plagiarized, the applicant will be subject to an investigation. If the application is found to be fraudulent or contains plagiarized material, the Polytechnic reserves the right to reject the application on this basis. If it is established that the application is not fraudulent or plagiarized, the application will then be considered using the same academic selection process as all applications that will be assessed using our normal admission practices and policies. Reapplication, in the event that you applied and it never came back, I mean, an application was not successful for various reasons, the applicant may apply again in the following academic cycle. The new application will be considered again as the standard course entry criteria for that year of entry. The application fee shall be waived for the students who are reapplying for a similar course previously applied for. Here we are just saying that probably there could be an error of omission, commission, and we did not just see what we're supposed to have seen. So of course, usually like the current case, students who did not come in January and they are still telling us they will come. So when they come in September, instead of telling them to reapply, we ask them to come with the admission letter. But sometimes we may have this 3.25 changing. Refund for application, we are saying that there will be no refund for application. And we have also said that being an institution that is sensitive about complaints, people may appeal against the decisions of an application. And when we do that, we will not discriminate them. We're also saying that there will be complaints as a specific concern in connection with any procedural error, irregularity, or maladministration relating to the admission procedure or practices. Sometimes, like we don't want to say this, but there are students there are people who decided to con some students through medical form, kuwadanganya wana hii mambo ya 500 shillings, and so usually we could have such, mzazi amekuja amecomplain nilipa 500 ya medical na huyo mtu amedisappear. So the Polytechnic will reject admission decisions where a complaint has been received, or sometimes you may have a registrar who is a rogue, or admissions officers who are rogue. They are assisting people on the line but taking their fees. These things can happen. So whenever we have that complaint, then we say that they should write to the principal, and that issue is supposed to be dealt with. Then communication between applicants and the admission staff. SNP is a public institution that has a legal obligation to comply with all relevant data protection legislation. The Polytechnic expects all interaction between applicants and its admission staff to be conducted with courtesy and respect. We do not tolerate inappropriate behavior, hostile, aggressive, or otherwise appropriate behavior by applicants or their representatives to SNP staff will be viewed seriously and may prejudice the further consideration of the application, appeal, or complaint. And sometimes, members, this is tough. There's a time when some senior guys came to my office and they almost molested me, and I think I was a bit mad against them, so to kind of neutral. But it happens sometimes. So sometimes you can get very rough men. And we are also saying that we need to be defended. But at the same time, when we are also hostile to our candidates and applicants, then the administration, where the principal and the deputies oversee this process, they should be able to cancel the registrar and the staff below them on their hostility or aggression. I think that should be also very clear. General Polytechnic and admission guidelines.
Jahonga.
Yes.
Kindly go back to 3.29.
Yes.
SNP as a public institution has a legal. Is the L there?
Yes, it's legal. Legal.
Okay, from my end, I'm saying as if the L is missing.
It's legal. Can I expand it further?
Okay. Kindly.
May I expand?
Okay, fine. Thank you. Yes, iko sawa.
Then eligibility. We are saying that they must be Kenyans, and if they are foreign, they must meet the requirements as outlined up or due. And we are just saying that, I think this was in reference to what Dan was asking. We say that they must get a clearance from the Ministry of Education if they are foreign students. Of course, they must identify themselves as citizens or immigrants. They must hold a visa, a student visa for that matter. They must have the equivalent certificate from KNQA, NEC, or any other. Proof of proficiency in English. I don't know how this will be done for a foreigner. There are some, like from, if you got a student from China. And Madam Anne, this is a new thing we decided to add, 20% additional fees. Then we are saying that qualified for various programs as outlined in respective by respective examining bodies, you must have qualified. So we are just saying that student eligibility, it means that you must have qualified for the various programs by respective, kama ni KCSE, KCPE, CDAC, CASNEB, whatever. Then required to meet minimum academic qualification for direct entry into the higher national diploma certificate or any other relevant course, if it is a course, a short course. Kama kuna swali, karibu tumalize. Watu wa wani Kenya kwanza, yani hiyo una combine zote tatu. Leo mmemiss news, poleni sana, asanteni. Lakini members, we are saying that for you to come to Sigalagala, you either coming for a higher diploma, where we expect you to have a relevant diploma, or the equivalent. We are saying that if you have also a diploma, you must have a C- or equivalent. And we are saying that this is based on specific examination and professional bodies. I think that is also important for us to note. You have the examination body and the professional body. Some professional bodies have a higher minimum requirement. For example, if you're doing medical lab, you're doing pharmacy, you're doing what, there's those specific class requirements. A craft course, I think this should be craft. Then again, we also know that some craft certificate courses have specific professional body examination, professional body requirements. Then artisan.
Just remove the word craft certificate, please.
I just removed the word.
Remove the word certificate. Okay.
Then we have artisan. We are assuming that we are going to these things called the KNQA, and therefore we'll have level 6, level 5, level 3, and level 4. Madam, do we still have level 3 at the National Polytechnic?
We've tried phasing them out. There is only the IM that was still having under beauty, but it's like they are phasing them out. So we can leave those ones for TVCs.
So we omit this. So about to be there, and then of course the short courses. Again, we are saying that even if we are coming up with short programs, don't forget that Sigalagala can also be an examining body. So as we are saying, approved by KNQA examining body, professional body, even Sigalagala can be an examining, just like we're offering proficiency courses certificates in computer packages, and we are about to do others.
So is it okay if we add there?
She's the examining body.
Yeah, because now that's where we are moving. In fact, this year.
She's just an examining body. There are many examining bodies here.
Okay.
Itabidi tumeweka hizo zote. Itabidi tumeweka sit and guilds to make.
Yes, just leave it general.
Maybe in our definition we should define now what is an examining body.
Oh yes.
Dorcas, just take note of that definition of examination body and professional body.
Yes, sir.
Course admission, they must have qualified in order to be admitted into a program. The specific academic qualifications for the various programs will be outlined in the admission rules. Academic council, in consultation with the examining bodies, shall determine admission requirements from time to time. This is not academic council, but the academic board. And then we are also saying that now this is where we missed out. Students may defer the course they have been admitted to within 3 weeks. Students will have to fill a deferment form in duplicate. One copy shall be request for deferment admission must be in the course deferment form, which shall be available in the registry. Now, the academic policy, which I think we'll be discussing tomorrow, will define the period of deferment. And we have already made suggestions that once a student gets deferment effective from this term, they will be forced to come after one academic year. So that deferment period, we have actually noted that students misused the deferment applications they did this term. We will personally be doing some survey this week and next week to establish such students who deferred, yet they are still in class. Then in our discussion today, somebody thought of having what we call a resumption after deferment. That is, that if a student comes back, what is usually the procedure? We discovered we don't have, and somebody was thinking of having to fill a course resumption form. I don't know what members think, whether it is necessary. Ama wanakuja tu na kusneak kwa system.
I think that's in order.
I think, and again, maybe I'll have to check on whatever you'll have said tomorrow, because it is good. But now that you are stipulating that it is after one academic year, it is also prudent for us as the office of the registrar now to send the letter to the student now to resume the studies. So he has to come with that letter accompanied with.
Okay.
My thought.
If I may just add, there's also scenarios of those who defer due to
sickness, pregnancy,
maybe lack of visa. So when they just have to do the exams, also you consider that.
Unamaanisha?
Deferment is just deferment.
Those,
will not have
let's say, for example, a candidate means to register for July series, but they are done with their coursework. So they just want to come back in December and do the exam. So how will that also be handled?
Madam, then I think, Chair, on, just up there on 3 point, is it 3.3 or 3.4? About 3.4 under deferment.
Excuse me.
What? Let her finish first, huh?
Under this deferment of admission, it is now that you've stipulated that after 3 weeks of official commencement.
Actually, it's supposed to be 2 weeks.
2 weeks. It is okay in whichever duration, but then we should put there a restriction that after these 2 weeks, it will be impossible for one to defer. Because or not unless under special consideration, maybe it is a situation that it is beyond us, maybe psychiatric or something.
Sure. Madam Ann, I think that should be noted in our academic policy.
Yes.
Madam Dorcas, please just take note of that, once the deferment period has elapsed, then it is reversible. We should put that in the academic policy.
So you should also add.
Sorry for this.
Yes.
You should also add a leeway for maybe for the psychiatric cases, the special cases. You should also add maybe just under special case. That is through the dean.
Actually, a deferment has 3 options. One, we have a special case where you're saying that the student is sick, and because the student is sick, he has been released to go home. Two, the student does not have financial ability, and therefore he cannot pay school fees, or he cannot, the student cannot, pay an exam fee. Or three, the student has personal issues that would necessitate them to defer.
Okay, my point is maybe the term has progressed in mid these students attend classes. It will be
Adi?
good for us to defer and defer. I'm saying maybe the term has progressed
Eh,
and it is in the middle,
eh.
and this student has been incapacitated to continue with the studies.
Okay,
So
okay.
through the advice of maybe the dean, he can write a letter, and then we can give a deferment to that student.
Hello?
Madam, that is clear.
Registrar.
Yes.
Yeah, but we really don't want to give it a lot of leeway because of what we have seen. Those are very special cases of which they really have to prove what they are saying. But on the aspect of missing exams, because of maybe exam fee and so forth, that one I think we are not going to allow deferment. I'd rather that student, because you see, like this term, just giving an example, students have been coming as late as even this week. They want to defer September. It doesn't make sense at all. And after they have deferred, they go back to class. So if a student has not been able to pay fees, I think like for this time, I was just telling them, they just continue learning, they stay in class, then maybe let them, and in the process, they'll be able to register for the November, because if they are deferring, they're going to be out of the system. How would they register? So they'd rather just continue and finish the term. In the process, they register for November. Then September, let them not come.
But what Madam is saying is, what Madam is saying is that you have this student you admitted, he reported on 2nd of May, has done a term midway through the term. The student gets a psychiatric problem, or just gets sick.
That one will be understood. Yeah,
So
that one is a unique case.
So that's why we're saying that we put it under special deferment. So in such a case,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
I am of the opinion that if we put so much spaces on matters deferment, our students have a crafty way of introducing conditions to suit their requirements or their needs. So we just put the condition of deferment as it is. However, where we have special cases, a special case is always a special case, and it will be advised by the relevant office. Let's say, for example, a student has developed a medical condition that cannot allow them to study. Then this will involve maybe even the dean's office through the nurse writing a letter. So we don't have to put such a statement in the policy. Our students will end up developing all manner of special cases just to have a way of deferring. For example, a case where you have stopped the student from deferring because you feel that they have not given you sufficient reason. They might now go out of their way to create a special condition. So let the deferment conditions remain standard, but in cases, special cases arise. Definitely, you cannot sit with a medical condition student, a student who is having a medical case in class. Such cases should be handled as they arise, but not without letting the students know that we have such kind of room in the policy.
I totally agree with Madam Dorcas.
3.5 admission process. We are saying that it begins when the registrar constitutes an admissions committee that comprises of the dean's office, the academic heads of departments, exams office, registry staff, finance office, and other relevant officers that may be called upon. The admission process follows the following sequence. Applicants register is generated. There's a medical checkup. There's verification of admission documents, filing of admission documents, issuance of admission number, fees payment and receipting, retrieval of admission documents from students and filing, capturing of government capitation data, issuance of a student identification card. Then coordination and admission of all sponsored students to the polytechnic shall be done under the office of the registrar. Sponsored students shall be expected to produce letter of confirmation of sponsorship, which will be kept at the registrar's office. We are also saying that
Chair,
yes.
maybe on no, is it number B?
Yes.
B3, verification of original.
Are they not just admission documents, whether original or photocopy?
They are admission documents.
Or should you also define the admission documents? What were the admission documents? They were here. These were the admission documents.
These are admission requirements.
And documents. National ID. All right, it's English. So you want us to put the word original?
Okay, to support the original.
Okay.
To support the original, maybe cases of getting candidates from maybe other institutions. You might need, because you might need to verify the original, so that a candidate maybe is not leaving a rare somewhere else to come to this other place.
Take a note of that. These are very active. Team. Number C and D. Are we still there?
Yeah.
So admission for short courses shall be continuous as provided by the respective departments and shall be done at the registrar's office. We just simply saying that all admission processes, whether sponsored, not sponsored, walk-ins, whatever, basically we believe that that's the function of the office of the registrar. And change of course, again, this should not be here, I suppose. Although again, during the admission process, we are saying that applicants who have received an admission offer to which they have admitted and who wish to change to another program may make an application by filling a change of course form in duplicate. The procedure will be approved by the releasing HOD and receiving HOD and the registrar. We're just saying that at the admission period, because usually all the officers are at the admissions desk, then a student who comes today and he thinks or she thinks that this course is not what they require, because all those officers are there, then it is the same selection committee that is there. So that work is just done there, and then we finish, we approve. Of course, the registrar approves, then the student is allowed to go to that. Of course, that is also subject to whether there is space where the student would want to go to. And whenever we have transfers, again, we can have inter-campus transfers from Maturu to town campus to Sigalagala, as has been happening. And we are saying that in this case, we are saying that the admission numbers are retained, because for the simple reason, this student is supposed to maintain his historical record. When you change an admission number, then you lose all the historical information about that student. For example, if a student has a fee balance and you change that admission number, then you lose that amount of money. Or if the student was had been suspended or something like that. So transfers shall apply only at the beginning of the term. We have said so. External transfers, we are saying that the transfer from one institution to another is subject to stipulated minimum requirements. Transfer shall not be allowed where a student has non-criminal activity. Yes?
Maybe when I may ask interdepartmental transfer. I don't know why you captured that one.
Yes?
Interdepartmental transfers.
That's what we are calling it. We are calling it internal transfer. All right.
That is between polytechnic campuses. You've only captured about between the campuses.
Excuse me.
Hmm?
Kindly note that if a student changes from one department to another, what they are doing is changing the course. Because it is impossible to study the same course if you are changing departments. So whatever that is, we have a clause on change of course. But when you are changing from one campus to another, then that's what we call internal transfer. But changing from one department to another is change of course, because it is impossible to do the same course in your new department.
Then maybe, madam, if they would have given the duration.
We have
when...
actually done that. We have noted that under change of course.
I didn't see the duration.
Okay. That should be
Maybe
also the academic policy, Madam Ann. The academic policy.
The change of course.
Yes, because what we are saying is that in the admission process, we are saying as you are admitting, this student doesn't want to take electrical engineering, he or she wants to take automotive engineering. So at that process of admission, then we make those changes rather. But then the issue of change of course is an academic procedure. Say a student has been there for 2 terms and he thinks that that is not the right course she took. This student has failed an exam, so now this student is supposed to go through the careers office, go to the department, get some counseling if there is need. Then that process happens. So we are saying that as an admission office, we are not interested in that, as we are saying that we are only receiving a student who feels that the course that we have given him or her is not the best, and therefore we have to make some changes to ensure that they meet the objective for the particular course they are changing into. So the issue of change of course then in depth would be discussed in the academic policy.
Very true.
It is okay. It is okay then.
Then
what I might like to talk about is that you find that someone is changing a course in the same field. Maybe he's doing a course under business, and he has taken a different course is changing from the same department. So you find that that is, you are changing a course, but you are changing it within. So are we going also to talk about that here, or we are talking about when you are changing from one department to another? There's a difference between the two.
Yeah, maybe what I understood is that it is being captured under the academic policy.
I thought so. I'm thinking that can be discussed at length in the academic policy. For us, we're just saying that in the process of admission, what is your focus? See.
Yeah, Registrar, you're right. And just a humble reminder, Registrar, now some of us, we have changed the status. Now we are supposed to be cooks.
Actually, I'm about to finish. So members, actually it's going up to 3.9. We are going, it's just there. So the last one is admission schedules. We have said, of course, we have the town campus, Maturu campus, whatever. That was also subject to change. Registration, we are saying that shall be registered into a program after they have been admitted, after they have been assigned a registration number, they have paid school fees, they have, if they are sponsored government, that sponsor has paid money, continuing trainee has, they have signed the nominal roll, and we are also saying that in the academic policy that nominal roll has to be so clearly stated. Then the name of the trainee as it appears in the document. Again, here we are in our process of admission. Then we will be using the national ID for documentation. Then all new students and continuous shall register within the first week of commencement. We are just saying that that is also part of an admission process. You've been at home for 13 weeks. For 1 month, and you're coming back, so it must be a new registration process. And of course, we are saying that if you fail to do that within the stipulated time period, then you'll be considered a waive from the term. The registrar shall issue an official class list, which we have been doing. Unfortunately, I think sometimes hatufuatilingi sana kama departments. All students shall complete registration by signing a nominal roll at the registrar's office. I hope we start this. We have never started, including the departments, so that we have got 2 copies, one at the registrar's office and one at the department. Then we expect that all reporting students shall be expected to report online through the student portal within the stipulated time period. Again, it is a document of the academic policy, remember. Then a student may also we may decide to withdraw an admission letter when we think that the person was a fake. He gave us fraudulent or misleading information, so we can withdraw an admission letter. We are also saying that the implementation of this policy, it shall be approved. The policy shall come into force upon approval and shall be implemented by the office of the registrar, and it shall be reviewed from time to time. That was the policy that we developed. Now you can give your contributions. If there is anything we have left, tell us.
Yeah. And also say for how long review.
We have said the review will be from time to time as may be necessary.
Okay.
Moody, you are not clear?
I'm saying.
Yes.
Halfway asleep. That you have to give it a definite time. Your story at time to time.
Agreed. So, yep. Do we say the traditional 3 years?
You can say 3 or 5 years.
It may be a bit tricky to give it definite time because we might have emerging issues that may not really need to wait for that period of time. That's my take. Maybe you can say it will be reviewed after 3 years, but you put there a clause that can allow for review if it deems necessary, even before the 3 years.
All right.
Then, Chair, I also want to say something about, I don't know whether maybe you've talked about it and I didn't get it. In this admission process, the HODs, the academic HODs should come in strongly. There should be a place where these students should end up signing, maybe writing their names or registering at the HOD's place. So this one will also enable us to be able to align or to marry the 2 data at the registrar and also at the department. Because in most cases we realize that these students sometimes they have come in school and even maybe the HOD is not aware of the students that are in the department, whereby now you as the registrar, you'll actually issue a list. It's better if you issue a list and the HOD also has some data of what he has received, then they can be able to compare.
Thank you. Any other comments, members?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Now, we have just made something of concern on the application fees. Are those students who are coming in through COOPs, are they supposed to repay the application fees for the second time?
I'm just taking note. Then, something else? Any other observation?
I heard that we have these people who have maybe done something, but they don't have document to show that they have done it, like the Juakali sectors and what. Are we recruiting such people?
Go ahead. It's called RPL. I think there is a statement to that. We have done something on RPL. I don't know why I didn't read it, but I think it's there. Recognition of prior learning. I think there's one presidential candidate who seems to be knowledgeable about it. Please, mimi ni mtu wa Ukuru Okot. Sina ubaya na mtu yote.
Hello, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. You are the last person. Yes, the last comment.
Yes, hello.
Yes, the last comment.
I'm concerned with the subjects that have
we can't get you what you're saying. Hello, Rituni. Moses.
Yes, I'm saying.
Yes.
We have some courses that require specific subjects. For example, in medical and applied sciences.
Yes.
Our course normally requires specific cluster subjects for the student to qualify. So you realize that in the website they have just indicated the general grade, that is maybe even it is a diploma, they have indicated a C minus. Whereas when that student reports, we realize that with the C minus, maybe was contributed by the art subjects, but the sciences, the student didn't do well. So you realize that the student normally complains that you are the
It's
one
okay.
who give us the
Take a note of that. Bana Rutino, I think that is a problem between my office and that of the department. Usually what we do is we, like now I sent the prospectus for the September intake. So if a head of department discovers there's a problem, which means that I expect the departments and even the heads of department and deputy HODs and any other person to look at the website. If there is an error, then they inform the office of the registrar so that we coordinate with the MIS to make that error, so to correct that error. So I think that one we can check. But generally, I would expect that a head of department should be quite knowledgeable about what we have put in the website, so that they are also not disadvantaged, or we not disadvantage their department because of misinformation, which I think this document seeks to address. So members, I think because of time, it's approaching 9 minutes to 10. I would ask if there is any volunteer to pray. And thank you so much for your contributions. We will put that into consideration, and I think tomorrow by 10 I should be able to make a final document. I can see Madam Anne is saying thank you all for your contributions. I don't know whether there are any messages. I have recorded this, Jonathan. I've recorded this. Yes, so thank you, members. And I'm not able to go through all those statements, but I hope you recorded your presence for the purposes of writing this stakeholders meeting, because it is a constitutional requirement whenever we make these policies. So thank you so much. Can I have a willing volunteer to pray?
Shall we pray?
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we bless your name this hour because you're our God. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you, Lord, that you've enabled us to go through this document. How we pray that Jehovah God, you'll continue to lead us and to guide us, and even grant us wisdom that, Lord, even as we serve in this great institution, Jehovah, Lord, we shall always strive to do your will. We thank you, Lord, for all who have participated. And even, Lord, as we disperse this evening, disperse us with your blessings. For we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, members. And in case you are not able to express yourself, please, our office is still open. Come and criticize this work so that when we do it out, finally, inakuwa ni kitu mzuri. Asanteni sana and good night.
Good night, Registrar.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.